Welcome to this video on how to locate cases on Lexis+. The first point to note is that we will be looking for the same case as the one that we searched for in Westlaw AU, which is ASIC and Cobalt, which is a 2019 High Court decision. Note that you must be logged in with the library and access the Lexis+ database through the library in order to be able to access this material. It is a paid-for subscription. So this is what the homepage looks like once you are logged in and you've accessed the database through the library. Now in this box here, this is a general search box. You can enter case citation information or a case name. You could also enter the title of a journal paper, or you could enter legislation that you're looking for, or you could enter some general search terms, like let's say, for example, that you want to know about accessory liability into search terms that are relevant to that search. You can then refine that search with this box here, so you can select, as you can see, which jurisdictions you would like to focus on. So you can look internationally, but you can also look within Australia to certain states and territories. We also have a parameter search here, so you can see that we could limit the search to just cases, just legislation, or just secondary sources. So secondary materials include things like journal articles or practitioner papers on a particular topic. Now down below you've got this little explore area, so it may appear like that for you at first, but you just click on the arrow and then it will provide you with a drop down, and you can see that you can search by topic. So it gives you a list of common topics that people search for, and you could click on one of those and go through to a particular area for that particular topic. You could select legislation, and you can see that it then gives you the Law Now plus legislation citation. You can look at particular jurisdictions, or you could select publications, and then it will give you a list of recommended publications based on CQU's current subscription. So you see, for example, that if you wanted to look at the Australian Bar Review, there's a direct link through to that particular journal series. But what we're going to do is search by citation first. So we're going to enter the citation details, which we know are 267 CLR1. Now you can see from the drop down it's making some suggestions based on things that match or partially match what we've put in the box, but we can do a much more refined search than that by selecting cases. So in that drop down box there, that will therefore only look for that citation information within the cases section of the Lexis+ database. And then we'll click on the search button, and what you can see is that it's immediately found the case that we're looking for. We know that we're looking for a High Court case, so HCA here represents the High Court, and you can see that it's found the citation here. Now it's greyed out because Lexis do not publish the Commonwealth Law Report series. It's actually published by Thompson, which produced Westlaw. So that particular law report series isn't available, but alternative reports are available. So we've got the Australian law reports are available to us, or the unreported version of the case. And you'll see there, this is the medium neutral citation. Now, wherever possible, you should always use the authorised law report series, which would be in this case the Commonwealth Law Reports, but they're not available on Lexis. So let's imagine that you're in a firm that doesn't have access to Westlaw. You would go for the next best thing, which is the Australian Law Report series. They are sort of the silver star. Gold star is the authorised reported series, which is the Commonwealth Law Reports. The unauthorised but reported series, the Australian Law Reports, are the silver star in that situation. We would only use the unreported version, which is the medium neutral citation, where no other report series is available. Now let's briefly have a look at what we've come to. We've come to a summary page for this case. So you can see here that it tells us what judges were involved and also the judgment date. And then it gives us an abstract, so a very, very brief summary of the relevant legal issues. And then it gives us the catchword and digest. You can see here that it tells us what the outcome is. Now, this is the publisher's summary of what was held by the court. Note that they're not always 100% accurate and they don't always include everything that was determined. So it is important to read the case fully. Now, there's some really useful things on the top here. So you can see it provides us with access to the litigation history. So if we click on that, what it does is provide us with access to the cases that heard this particular case along the way before it got to the High Court. So you can see here that we've got the Federal Court of Australia court decision that we could look at. So if you're looking at the progress of the case or the development of the law from one court to the next on that appeal pathway, then that's the tab that you need. The next tab along, cases referring to this case. This is a very useful tab because it's talking about how Cobalt has been received by courts subsequently. So this decision, Cobalt, was heard in 2019. Between 2019 and the present, how have the courts received that decision? Have they referred to it frequently? Have some of them applied the law in that case? Have some of them distinguished the decision? Has it been overruled? All of those questions can be answered by reference to this tab. So there's a couple of useful features if we scroll down. The first is that you can see here, we've got the case-based citing decision analysis. It shows you which passages or which paragraphs have been referred to frequently after the decision. So let's focus on, say, Justice Keen's judgment. And here we can see that this paragraph here, paragraph 118 of Justice Keen's judgment, has been referred to in 15 cases since the 2019 Cobalt decision. So that's really helpful for tracking what aspects of the judgment have been highlighted as important or featured in subsequent decisions. You can also change the graph by clicking on court up here, and you can see which courts have frequently referred to this decision. So for example, here and here, we've got frequent referrals. You can also look at it over time as well. So if I click on year, you can see that it was most frequently cited in 2020. So there's lots of really helpful information, and when you're trying to track how a case has been received or applied or distinguished or overruled, that can be really insightful. And if you're looking at particular paragraphs within particular judgments, that can really help you drill into the detail. One more point to note is that here we've got green is positive, blue is neutral. There would also be a negative indicator if one existed for this particular case. So that can also tell you how it's tracking in terms of whether subsequent courts have indicated that there's a problem with the decision or whether it's been received in a positive way. Let's scroll down and look at some more information. So here you can see that Lexis is now listing for us which cases have subsequently referred to Cobalt. So you can see, just for example, that the Queensland Court of Appeal has referred to Cobalt in 2024. Then we've got publications referring to this case, so we can just click on this. So if you're doing some research, this can be a really helpful tab because it will highlight journals that are within the Lexis database that have referred to that case. So here you can see there's quite a few, and probably more than were appearing in the Westlaw version of this aspect of the database, which really highlights the importance of when you're trying to do a research project and you're trying to really do a comprehensive and thorough search, that it's important to check all the databases because they won't necessarily produce the same results. So you can see, just by way of example, that in 2021 there was an article exploring unconscionable conduct post-Cobalt. So it will be discussed extensively in that journal. There's one tab which you have to press the arrow depending on your screen. So it's cases considered by this case. So this isn't looking at what's happened post 2019, post the decision. It's looking at the cases that were cited in Cobalt itself. So what cases did the judges refer to as part of their judgments? So here you can see, again, you've got a great little analysis. You've got the court, so there's lots of mention of high court cases you can see there. And you've also got the years, so it's showing you the years for those decisions that were mentioned. You can also see the cases by name, and you can click on these and it will take you through to the summary for those cases as well. Note that once we've looked at cases considered by this case, so we've looked at which cases were cited by the judges in Cobalt, we can also click a little bit further, and the last tab is legislation considered by this case. So when we click on that, you can see all the legislation that was cited by the judges as part of their judgment. Now, as I said earlier, this is the summary for this particular case. So I'm going to click back on summary. And now I'm going to take you through to the actual case so that you can see what that looks like. So as I said earlier, we don't have the Commonwealth Law Report because that's published by Thompson, but we do have the Australian Law Report series, so I'm going to click on that. And this then takes us through to the actual law report, the Australian Law Report. You'll see it's 78 pages here. Now, helpfully, there's a contents page down the side, so you can go to a specific judgment if you wanted to. Like if you knew that you needed to focus on, say, Justice Keen's judgment, you could just click on that and you'll see that it takes you straight to where that particular judgment begins. So you can navigate those contents down the side to help you. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Now, what you get at first is obviously the head note, which provides you with some catchwords and a summary of the facts, and then what the court held. And you'll see there that it breaks it down in a summary format as to what each judgment said. Let's scroll past that. And you'll see that we then get to the judgment. Okay, so going back up to the top, you can see that you can download a PDF, a court-ready PDF. You can also print up here, you can email it to yourself, or you can download here, and that function, when you press that, gives you the option of a Word document as well. All right, we're going to go back to the search page, and now we're going to look for this case, but by name rather than citation. So now we're back at the home page, we can now search by case name. Now you can see it's throwing up some suggestions. What I'm going to do though is make sure that I limit it to cases again so that I don't get articles about Cobalt. And then I'm going to click search. Now what you'll see is because we gave it the party names rather than the citation, it's not pinpointed the case, the High Court case. It's found 11 matching cases because it's searching for the name. Now it throws up the High Court one as the top hit. But what you'll see here as we scroll down is it does give us the Federal Court of Australia version, which was obviously pre the appeal to the High Court. So it's important to check the information that's provided here to identify if it's the correct one. So if you know it's a 2019 decision, obviously check the date and the jurisdiction. In this case, we're looking for a High Court case. We know that, so we know that this is the right one. Let's click on that. And what you can see is it's taken us back to the summary page that we first located when we searched by citation. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you're doing a research project and you're really trying to gain a comprehensive overview of the development of the law or where it might go in the future, it is important to look at a range of databases because they don't all hold the same information. And what I mean by that is both Westlaw AU and Lexis, when they provide a list of papers or journal articles that have referred to a case, it's usually those within its own subscription. So that means that you're limiting the journal articles that you can access if you're only looking at one of the two databases, for example. You may also find that some of the citation information, so the subsequent citations by courts, differs from one platform to another as well. So again, to be comprehensive, it's a good idea to check both. Okay, that brings us to the end of this demonstration of how to locate cases by party name and citation on Lexis Plus.